Mr. Patel, does Donald Trump appear anywhere in the Epstein files?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
It's not a complicated question. Does Donald Trump appear anywhere in the Epstein files?
I didn't say it was a complicated question.
3 minutes ago, Democratic Representative Dan Goldman from New York did something that caused FBI Director Kash Patel to fall completely silent. In the House Intelligence Committee, during this live broadcast watched by thousands, Goldman held up a file and said only 2 words, Document 23. Kash Patel didn't know what to say exactly. His eyes were locked on that file, his mouth hung half open, and for 8 seconds he couldn't do anything. 8 seconds on television means infinity, and in those 8 seconds, all of America saw the true face of FBI Director Kash Patel. Because Document 23 was never an ordinary document. This was a document of such significance that it could reveal the dark secrets of the Epstein scandal, its most hidden witnesses, and potentially end Kash Patel's career. I must tell you this, what happened at the Congress this morning is not an ordinary Congress session. This is perhaps the biggest cover-up in American justice history coming to light live on air. And if you don't want to miss these, watch this video until the end and don't forget to like it, because every page Goldman has will shake your faith in the justice system. I have no doubt about that. To help you understand better, let me explain the situation to you from the very beginning. It's January 24, 2026, 9 a.m. The House Intelligence Committee convened for a hearing on FBI classified documents. This was expected to be a normal, routine surveillance, but everyone in Washington was predicting that something out of the ordinary would happen today. It was noticeable that something was different when Kash Patel entered the salon. Normally, he was a confident, controlled, and prepared man, but today it was clear from every aspect that he was very clearly tense. The lawyers next to him were the same. The thick bags, tense faces, and constant whispering conversations were indicative of this. Patel arrived and sat at the witness table, as he always does. He adjusted his microphone. He touched his water glass but didn't drink because he was nervous. He kept checking the clock at the back of the hall. These were the actions of someone who wanted to be somewhere, or someone who clearly wants to escape from somewhere. The first 45 minutes passed with routine procedure. Republican members asked supportive questions. How is the FBI's data security? Are the classification protocols working? Patel was content to give ready answers. The committee chairman gave the floor. Mr. Dan Goldman from New York. When it came to Dan Goldman's turn to speak, the atmosphere in the hall changed. You know, Dan Goldman is a former federal prosecutor. Trump's first impeachment case was for the position of chief legal counsel. For 10 years, he worked on financial crimes, bribery, and organized crime cases. When Goldman shows a document, that document is absolutely admissible in court. Dan Goldman placed a single thin gray file in front of him. It doesn't have any classification markings on it. Only one number is written, 23. When Patel saw the folder, his eyebrows furrowed. He acted as if he had no idea this folder existed, as if he didn't know, but experienced observers were sure Patel knew about this folder. "Director Patel," said Goldman, his voice normal but as if hiding something beneath, "I want to talk about the FBI's document storage systems." "Of course, Mr. Representative," Patel said. "The FBI has the most advanced document management system." "Great," said Goldman. "Then we can be sure the documents haven't been lost, right?" It was like a trap. "Absolutely," Patel said. "Every document has a digital copy and backup. It's impossible for something to get lost." Goldman slowly opened the folder. "So, can you tell me about Document 23? Patel's facial expression changed instantly. It's just a micro-expression, but CNN cameras caught this. "Dear Representative, I need to know which document system you are referring to." "Epstein investigation files," Goldman said sharply. a series of witness statements. Documents are numbered from document 1 to document 89. So where is document 23? The salon fell silent during these conversations. I don't know every individual document number. You don't know? Goldman repeated. You're the FBI director. You personally reviewed all the Epstein files. You made classification decisions. But how can you not know document 23? Goldman took a page out of the folder. Let me help you. This is a report from the FBI Document Management System dated November 15, 2025. I'm reading. A critical deficiency was identified during the digital inventory of the Epstein investigation files. Document 23, the witness statement file, appears to be present in the system logs, but its content is inaccessible. Last accessed November 4, 2025, 03:14. Reaching user, Patel. End of quote. This statement literally exploded like a bomb.
Goldman raised his head. Director Patel, you were the last to receive document 23, November 4th at 3:14 a.m. And after that date, the document was lost. Can you explain this? Patel raised the glass of water with trembling hands. Dear Representative, I don't perform system operations at midnight. Goldman interjected. But you did it. The FBI's own security records show you entered the FBI building on November 4th at 2:47 a.m. You said you went up to the director's office. You accessed document 23 at 0314. These are the records of your institution. Goldman produced a second document. The interesting part is that when you accessed document 23, you left a note in the system. According to FBI protocol, the purpose must be stated for each access to classified documents. Your note, classification review requires re-evaluation. So what happened with your re-evaluation? One of Patel's lawyers leaned forward and whispered in his ear. Mr. Goldman, I review dozens of documents every night. But document 23 is private, isn't it? Goldman raised his voice. Because document 23 had a flag in the FBI system before it was deleted. High-profile witnesses are critical figures banner. Goldman pulled out the third page. This is the metadata for document 23, so even though the document's content has been deleted, information about it is still in the system. Let's see what we can learn. Goldman began to read. Document 23, Witness Statement, Registration Date, March 18, 2010. Witness Profile, Female, 24 years old, works for the Epstein Organization. Expression length, 47 pages. Number of people named, 13. Expression classification, confidential/protected witness. Goldman stopped and looked at Patel. 13 people, Director. This woman identified 13 people by name, and after you reviewed this document, the document disappeared from the system. Is this a coincidence? Objection, a Republican member. Speculation. The objection is overruled, said the president. Mr. Goldman can continue. Goldman released the fourth document. Maybe it's not a coincidence, he said, because the night you accessed document 23, something else happened. If you want to learn how deep this scandal goes, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, because Goldman has things that will make the scandal even bigger. Goldman began to read the document. November 4, 2025, 2:51. An external call was made from your office line. The call lasted 14 minutes. The number you dialed is registered in Washington, D.C. Number owner, Everett and Associates Law Firm. A law firm. Goldman raised his head. Director Patel, why did you call a law firm at 3 a.m.? I don't remember who I was calling at that time. That law firm, Goldman continued, represents at least 7 people named in the Epstein files. Rich, powerful men who don't want to be blamed. And you, 9 minutes after accessing document 23, called one of the partners of that company. The salon became quite chaotic after these conversations. And here's the most interesting part, Goldman said, pulling out the 5th document. The next day, November 5th, that law firm sent a formal letter to the FBI. Subject, client confidentiality and document review request. This letter requested the reclassification of certain witness statements from the Epstein files. Goldman raised the letter in the air. There was a list attached to this letter. Documents requested for reclassification, a total of 19 documents, and the first number on the list is document 23. It was a complete explosion. So, Goldman said angrily, you accessed document 23 at midnight. 9 minutes later, Epstein called a law firm representing his defendants. The next day, the company requested the classification of document 23, and a week later, document 23 disappeared from the FBI system. Do you think this is a coincidence? Patel tried to stand up but couldn't, so he sat down again. Dear Representative, these accusations are completely unfounded. Untrue? Goldman raised his voice. Director, I'm reading you the FBI's own records. These are documents from your institution, not false documents. Goldman also produced a 6th document, which was thicker. This is the testimony of one of the FBI informants. His name is protected. Current position, FBI Cybersecurity Division Senior Analyst. Goldman began to read again. On the night of November 4th, 2025, I was monitoring system logins from Director Patel's office. I saw that he accessed document 23. The unusual thing was what was done after access. The director also looked for backup copies of the document. It searched across all 7 backup systems. Then it wiped each one. This means intentional deletion. A silence like the silence of death reigned in the hall.
I wanted to write a report that night, the informant continued, but my superiors prevented me. They said, don't interfere in the director's affairs, but I knew something was wrong. Document 23 was deliberately destroyed. This is clearly evident. Goldman closed the document and said, Director Patel, he said, what was in document 23? Who were the 13 names? And did you intentionally delete a document from the system to protect those names? Patel opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. He looked at his lawyer, then back at Goldman, and said, These charges. These aren't charges, Dan Goldman interjected. These are simple questions. Why did you access document 23? Why did you call the law firm? Why did the document get lost? I want you to answer these questions. There was a long period of silence. Patel remained completely silent. Goldman stood up and said, Mr. President, I want to register this. FBI Director Kash Patel cannot provide any answers as to why document 23 disappeared. It's not that he couldn't answer, it's that he didn't want to. Goldman pulled out a thin piece of paper. This was the final document. This thin document is an email sent to me this morning by the FBI's data recovery team. They tried to recover the deleted version of document 23. They were unsuccessful because the deletion process was so thorough that even data traces were destroyed. Goldman stopped and said, but they were able to save the metadata, and they found something in the metadata. The names of the witnesses were on document 23. Victoria Chen. In 2010, she was Jeffrey Epstein's assistant. He gave a statement to the FBI. He named 13 men. 3 are senators, 4 are CEOs, and 6 are billionaires. And you, Director Patel, destroyed Victoria Chen's statement. Goldman continued, do you know where Victoria Chen is now? He's hiding in London, because after he gave you a statement, he said his life was threatened. He requested protection, and the FBI denied it. Instead, what did you do? You deleted his statement.
Goldman closed the class. Mr. President, I would like to submit a motion. This committee should find all system transactions made by Kash Patel on the night of November 4th. He should identify all communications with the law firm of Everett and Associates. I want to protect Victoria Chen and have her statement retaken, and let the Ministry of Justice initiate an investigation into charges of evidence destruction, obstruction of justice, and bribery. A Democrat shouted, "I support it." "Voting," said the president. The committee approved it. Patel stood up, gathered his belongings, and left the courtroom with his lawyers. His face was as white as snow. Within 2 hours, #Document23 went viral. Within 4 hours, Victoria Chen's lawyers issued a statement, "Our client is ready to testify." Within 6 hours, Everett and Associates said, "No comment." Within 8 hours, FBI Deputy Director Patel was placed on administrative leave. Within 12 hours, a special prosecutor was appointed. Within 24 hours, Patel's phone record from that night was leaked. "I've taken care of Document 23, there's no problem anymore." And Victoria Chen, from London, released a video message. "I have been silenced for 13 years. I'm ready to talk now, and the 13 names will be held accountable in public." Sometimes justice depends on just a document number, a prosecutor who asks the right questions, and a liar who can't answer. Dan Goldman asked the questions. Kash Patel couldn't answer. And Document 23, even if deleted, the truth lives forever. If you also want the voices of those who have lost their voices, like Victoria Chen, to be heard, share this video. Write your thoughts in the comments, because silence is the weapon of criminals, but we will continue to talk. Document 23, 13 names, an FBI director, and finally the brutal truths that emerged. No one, no matter how powerful, can stand before justice.